Hello, everybody, and welcome to Captain Hook Podcast, Season 7, Episode 13, Knightfall. This is the one we've been waiting for, yo. Just so you know, this might be a little bit longer than normal. A lot of Hook stuff and a lot of Alice to talk about. My name is Lisa. You Brought Me Home and Captain Hook Podcast on Tumblr, and these are my peeps.
I am Pip. I am Pirate Hero Killian on Tumblr and Pirate Hero Jones on Twitter.
Hey, I'm Ro, and that promo for next week really sucked.
It was kind of lackluster. I agree.
I mean, come on, the girl in the tower. Where's the girl in the tower?
They know the audience that's watching. And the audience a lot of the audience that's watching is Regina, and to be fair, a lot of these people are suddenly very talkative about the Voodoo Queen relationship. So,
I couldn't
got
care less.
Okay, so this is the episode we've all been waiting for. We finally got the backstory we've been wanting about how Wish Realm Hook got his heart poisoned by Gothel. And we got to some really awesome backstory about Alice's years with Hook in the tower and some domestic scenes with them together. And it was really, really awesome. They're so sweet together. And we also got some really awesome Rogers and Weaver cop stuff. I swear if they ever do a spinoff, they need to do a cop show together. They're awesome. We also got some really weird, like, skeevy shit going on with Gothel, which is unusual. We still don't know what her ultimate goal is other than the Coven of Eight. But we now know at the very least willing to step over anyone she has to, destroy anybody's life that she has to get in her way. And up to and including her own flesh and blood. So, I'm going to guess Alice is probably about 10 years old, maybe 11 or 12. And she's starting to get restless. She's been in the tower for a long time. She's lonely. She's got her father, but she's never been able to see the outside world. And Killian is desperate to find a way to get her out. He can take her away from that tower and so she can be free and they can have a life together. And he promises her that he will find a way to get her out. She's been having dreams about him dying. At first I thought it was a bad dream, but then I kind of remembered that this is Alice. And I think she might have inherited the gift of sight from her mother, because her mother is a witch. Rogers and Hook both have said in both guises that that Alice sees the world in her own way. So I don't think she's crazy. I think she has the gift of sight. And it's almost like a Cassandra type deal where she knows what happened, but nobody believes her. It's really tough. So Killian goes into town to see if he can find to free her. He speaks with Rumpelstiltskin, which, yeah, that scene was badass. It was definitely one of Robert's better performances. He was really bringing the season 1 Rumple out there. And he was hoping that Rumple might have some magic that could help him free her from the tower, but the prison he's in dulls his magic to the point where he can't even escape. But he does tell Killian that if he can get his hands on Maui's fishhook, Moana, that it has the power to destroy any prison. So he finds Smee, and he's able to find out through Smee that Captain Ahab is the one that has the fishhook. Captain Ahab says he's not just going to give it up. And he proceeds to make fun of Hook and call him an old man and a softie because he thinks he's an old man and a softie. And I'm who everyone says, you used to be, old man. Yeah, okay. Whatever. Hook is trying not to fall for it because He's trying not to allow his ego to be bruised. He's there for one purpose only, and that's to get his hands on the fishhook so he can free his daughter. Ahab challenges him to a game of dice. Whoever wins, if Ahab wins, he gets the ship. If Hook wins, he gets the fishhook. Of course, Hook being Hook and having played dice for 300 fucking years, idiot. You don't challenge a 300-year-old pirate to a game of dice. Wins. He gets the fishhook. But Ahab is not satisfied. Hook goes to visit Rumpelstiltskin to break him out of the cell, thinking that Rumpelstiltskin will be able to help him, but Ahab shows up anyway because, well, his ego was bruised, and he has to prove to his men that he's better than Captain Hook. Challenges Hook to a duel, pistols at dawn, to prove the manhood. And I guess Killian just couldn't let his ego be bruised just that once. Instead of going to get Alice out to prison, he waits till the next morning to have this duel. Unbeknownst to him, Gothel has found some way to poison the bullet in Ahab's gun. So when they shoot each other, Killian wins because he only gets a scratch on his arm, but the scratch is enough to allow poison to filter through to his heart. When he gets back to the tower with the fishhook, thinking he's going to help her escape, as soon as he tries to hug her, you can see his heart turn green because it's been poisoned. And Gothel shows up telling him that, yeah, I couldn't let you free her from the cell. I'm assuming that she was afraid that if Alice was free from the cell, that Gothel would have to take her place. And she didn't want that. So not only did she make it impossible for Alice to leave the cell, she poisoned Hook's heart. And she made it look like it was Hook's fault for having, I guess you could say, a crisis of ego. Wasting time with this duel, which would have been better spent coming back to Alice. So she was trying to damage his daughter's confidence in her father by disappointing her. By showing he's so disappointing. And she told him he'd be better off going on back to the pub and getting drunk. And I guess after that is when he turns into old drunk fat Hook. Because his heart isn't only poisoned against him seeing his daughter, it's also sort of corrupted his soul. In the modern day,
she never went. I mean, he never went back to the tower.
Oh no, he went back. He says he goes back. He used to sneak in after his heart was poisoned.
Well, yeah, I don't think so, because she still needs food and water and all that.
I'm sure he goes back to her. They just can't get close to each other. And like I said on my post on Tumblr, they probably tested the boundaries of that a few times too many, hence sending him farther and farther down that path of his heart being corrupted more and more, and then he slowly but surely becomes, which probably ends up how he starts looking more haggard than everybody else that was in the original Wish realm. He was a lot older and a lot more, a mess than anybody else. And now we know why.
So in present-day Hyperion Heights, Lucy is depressed because she has been working so hard to get her parents together, and now with the revelation of this page in the book, she knows that she can't, because if she does, Henry will surely die. Which seems a bit unusual to Jacinda, because this whole time Lucy's been trying to get her and Henry together and get her to believe in this book, and now all of a sudden she's just 180, changed her tune. And even go so far as to say, I was being young and stupid and believing that fairy tales exist when they really don't. That alone should have tipped Jacinda off to something wasn't right. I don't understand why she wasn't more worried that something was wrong, because this child was literally for months and months trying to get her parents together. And then just like that, overnight, she changes her tune out of nowhere. I don't know about you, but I'd be wondering if something wasn't terribly wrong. Uh, Also, Drusilla Ivy is struggling to come to terms with herself now that her mother is dead, and she doesn't quite know what to do with her life because her life is always centered around her mother's bullshit. Now that her mother's dead, she's got to figure out how to pick up the pieces. She decides that she wants to finish what her mother started by finding Anastasia. At first, I was not sure of her motivations or whether or not she was genuine, but I really, by the end of the episode, I started to believe that I really do think she's genuine. I think after seeing the sacrifice that her mother made, that I think she really wants to make things right. Now, am I mad at her for kissing Henry? Not really, because she's in a bad way right now. She's emotional and she just lost her mom. Her whole world is is a mess. She's a mess. So I'm not surprised she would reach out to the one person who has, been relatively kind to her this whole time for some sort of comfort. Is it a good idea that she does this with him? No. The thing that Henry put a stop to it before it went too far, because she would have regretted it later. Not because Henry's a bad guy, but because she's doing it for the wrong reasons. It's good for them to be friends and for them to work together, but down a romantic road, she's not in the right place emotionally. She's too vulnerable, and if he was to take advantage of that, that would look bad on him. But I honestly do believe that she's genuine in wanting to fix things. Do you guys think she is?
I kind of got the feeling, yes, she was definitely coming off genuine in last night's episode, but I don't know what her interpretation of genuine might be in this case. I kind of got a feeling she's going to try to do what she thinks is right, but it's not necessarily going to be what is right. That sort of thing.
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, when you have an upcoming episode called Sisterhood, you expect it to be about her and Anastasia. So, yeah, I think she will try to save her just to honor her mother.
Whether or not she goes about that the right way is another story.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see, because Drusilla has a very skewed way of looking at the world, mostly because of what her mother did to her. So hopefully Henry will be there for her.
But it also doesn't surprise me that she made an attempt to connect with Jacinda, because cursed or not, they did grow up together. And at one point, she thought of Ella's mother as her mother.
I really think now I've figured out what Ivy is all about. When she first arrived at the apartment with the box, she had this attitude like, here's your stuff. I just carried it up a whole flight of stairs. I'm not carrying it a step further. Like, she's trying to have this attitude, but I don't think that's how she really is. I think the attitude she puts out is a cover for her own vulnerability. She doesn't want anybody to see how much she's hurting and how vulnerable she is. So she puts on this false facade of bitchiness to cover for that. But really, it's when she saw the doll Jacinda had saved for her, her face totally lit up and changed. And she looked like she was that Drusilla from when she was a little girl. I think that sweet, innocent girl that just wants to be loved is in there somewhere. Just buried so deep that it's going to take a little more to get out. I'm glad that she's connected with her. Again, I know it's going to take a lot more than just one visit for them to be on decent terms. But I think Drusilla's really trying. How she goes about that, I don't know. We'll see. The other big deal is what is going on with Rogers and Weaver. They're continuing to investigate the cult. More witches are dying. The blind witch is in the hospital, apparently. something must have happened between episode 12 and 13, because at the end of episode 12, the Blind Witch was fine. So something must have happened that, I guess, maybe that was a cut scene. But the Blind Witch winds up in the hospital, and Tilly is trying to warn Rogers not to fall for Gothel's tricks.
We know the Blind Witch ended up in the hospital. She was poisoned.
Hmm?
She was poisoned by the gas last episode. The Blind Witch.
Gas?
Yeah, she was. They tried to kill her with carbon monoxide poisoning by opening up the oven in her bakery. Weaver and Rogers found her there.
Oh, I must have forgotten that.
She was passed out, but she was still alive. So that's why they went to go see her in the hospital. But now she's definitely not alive. So
yeah, someone got in there and killed her. But when Rogers and Weaver went in there to see what was going on, they found Tilly standing over her body with a scalpel. Now, do I believe that Tilly did this? Absolutely not. Tilly doesn't have a mean bone in her body. I think Gothel knew that she was being watched. Gothel knew that Tilly was on to whatever she was doing, and she was trying to warn Rogers. I know Rogers believes that Gothel is messed up. That Gothel's got some issues. But I feel like he's at war within himself. Like, part of him wants to believe that she's manipulative because of this cult, but the other part of him wants to believe that she was manipulated. And maybe he can still get her out of it.
I think his feelings towards Gothel, quote unquote, Eloise, are being or he's confusing those feelings for what he wants for Alice. He doesn't realize that. He doesn't realize that his daughter is right in front of him, and that's what it's manifesting itself in Eloise, because that's the person he was supposed to be looking for. But that's not. So he's kind of conflicted now because she's not this person he thought she was, that he felt she was. And the person he's looking for is literally right in front of him, begging him to see her, and he's not. And I'm wondering if that's part of the way it was, the part of what Gothel did to him, maybe. Or maybe
I have to really give it to Rose. This episode, she was phenomenal. I mean, the scene where she was in his office begging him to please not listen to Gothel, because she was afraid that he wasn't going to be safe, that she was going to do something bad, and he was just telling her to go home. The look on her face, she's so hurt that he didn't believe her. And then in the hospital, when he was trying to get her to put down that knife, again, she looked so hurt that, because you could tell he didn't want to believe that she had done this, but she could see it in his eyes that there was some part of him that believed that maybe she had gone a little crazy and she had done something stupid. It just makes you like want to shake Weaver and go, just tell him the truth already. This is not fair.
I don't think that I don't think he thinks she did it, but he had, as a cop, where he's standing in the room where she's holding the scalpel that just killed the woman, he knows there's nothing he can do to disprove it. He can't just say, I know she didn't do it, because he doesn't know that. So I think as a cop, he's standing there, this girl is standing there with this scalpel in her hand saying, I told you something bad was going to happen. I told you this was going to happen. And she runs away, which, makes her seem guilty. All of this makes her seem guilty. And as a cop, he knows he can't prove otherwise. But deep down, he knows she didn't do it. I think that's what was happening there. I don't think he ever has any doubt that she did it. Because he knows her. He knows her, so he knows she wouldn't do that. That's my opinion on it.
Well, the curse really doesn't do Rogers any favors, that's for sure. He's blinded to the truth about Gothel, and basically everything else, except he feels this connection, obviously, to Tilly. But that's just because his heart... The curse can change a person's memory, their mind, but not their heart.
And I think that's part of his problem, because in his cursed mind, it was Eloise he was looking for. But what he's feeling is for Tilly, but he doesn't know that. So that's why he's so confused and he's so conflicted. And we don't know why he hasn't woken up yet. I was so sure, the way they were saying the narrative, they were playing the narrative out last night, that by the end of the episode he was going to wake up and remember Alice, but he wasn't going to be able to do anything. And when he, dismissed her at the police station, and she walked off saying she was angry that nobody believed her, I figured he was going to remember, and then she wasn't going to let him get close again. And Killian was going to suffer. He couldn't be near his daughter, even though he can finally touch her and be around her. She wasn't going to want him anymore. They didn't do that. And then, of course, they revealed that Gothel, for whatever reason, is pushing him to wake up, while Rumpel, on the other end, is keeping him cursed. And now I'm like, what part is he playing all this? I don't understand. There's another piece that, is missing from all this. And it's driving me crazy now. Because
Mama would think that for her own protection that she wouldn't want him to wake up, because, if he's awake, he'll kill her, because he's wanted her dead for years for what she did. So you would think for her own sake she would want to keep him cursed. But yet, every time she's around him, she keeps dropping hints, like with the painting that Alice made of the jar. Well, maybe he made the painting, but
he painted it,
of the Jolly Roger, the sketch in his little notebook of the Jolly Roger. And yes, now we know, confirmed canon, that Killian Jones is a self-taught artist. Or maybe Mila taught him. But he's a good one anyway. He's trying to drop all these hints about his past life, about his love of the sea, and maybe he wants to captain his own ship, and blah, 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 blah. But I can't figure out why.
I know. We got to remember that Gothel also was the one that helped Ivy build this curse up in the way she did, or Drizella. Drizella, she helped Drizella make this curse the way she did. So we don't know what she put into this curse. And there seems to be something about Rogers, about Killian specifically, that both Rumpel and Gothel are circling around. Obviously now Alice is thrown into the mix because she's his daughter, so of course they're going to be drawn to each other no matter what. And he's a big part of this. There's something happening here that we haven't seen yet, and it has to do with him. Because he was him looking in the book, seeing Emma and having that memory that's really kicked off this whole thing to begin with. So I don't know. It's very, he's a big piece on he's the knight on the chessboard essentially, and now he's being moved around by all these players, and I don't know what part he's playing in all this, but I think it's something huge. So I don't know.
Whatever it is, it has to be important. If she's working this hard to wake him up, there must be something.
If she's working this hard and Rumpel is trying everything he can, is obviously doing everything he can to not wake him up. Because I'm sure Rumpel could find a way to wake Killian up at this point. He has the hook in the evidence locker. Killian's seen the hook. Rogers has seen the hook, but he hasn't actually held it. He held it in the baggie. So, and he was touching things in Alice's house, quote unquote house, last night, and Rumpel knows who he is. Rumpel knows his connection to all this, and he doesn't want him awake. And I can't figure out why. Because he knows Regina's awake. He knows Alina's awake. He obviously knows Lucy knows what's going on. He knew Victoria was awake. He knows Drizella's awake, but he won't wake up Killian, and I don't know why.
Exactly.
It's actually kind of irritating to see everybody else in on the joke except him.
Henry doesn't know either.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's a different Henry. We've been watching these characters for years.
That's not a different Henry.
Well, it's not the
It's a
Henry
different,
we know.
it's a different actor. It's still
He
the same.
regenerated.
It's the same Henry.
Yeah,
It's the same Henry. It's just the different actor.
so like Bewitched when they have another Darren.
Yeah, it's the same character. It's just not the same actor. So we've got Henry cursed, we've got Killian cursed, and Jacinda. Robin is also probably cursed when she shows up. So I don't think there's anybody else left that isn't cursed.
Tiana.
Oh yes, thank you. Tiana and Naveen are also.
Tiana, Naveen, I don't think is.
Oh yeah, that's right. Not Naveen. Tiana.
Tiana, Jacinda, Hook, three. Those are the ones that are still cursed. Everyone else, I'm pretty certain, is awake.
Jack.
Oh, well, we don't know.
Oh, God bless whoever gave him the black sweater. Jesus.
Oh, yeah, that was a good look. And he went the whole
I'm just going to say right now.
In that thing.
I just want to say right now that Detective Rogers' outfits were on point last night. The black sweater and the jeans on point. And God bless whoever did the camp for last night's episode, because fucking amazing.
Everything about last night's episode, and I'm not just talking about the acting, but the storytelling, the music. The music was fantastic. The cinematography. So I was sitting there making the gift set for the montage, the Nightwork montage, and the way it was all cut together, and it was brilliant going through the screen caps and seeing how they cut this
that
whole
montage
thing together.
Was so adorable.
Oh,
like how all the things they did as she was growing up, the little fake sword fights and dancing and playing chess together, and giving her a doll for her birthday. It was so adorable. That just warms the cackles of my heart, because I know that our Hook in Storybook is just as good of a father, if not better.
it's just to know that he's done all this.
Colin is so good with children.
To give her the best life he possibly could, even though she can't leave that tower. He brought the beach to her because she couldn't leave. And she wants to go to the beach, so he brings it to her. It's so sweet.
He brought the beach to her, even though it was a dream. He brought the beach to her. It's so sweet.
No, it wasn't a dream. He actually did
He's
that.
such a good dad.
That wasn't a dream.
And I will always love seeing Smee in anything.
Oh, Chris.
Smee is like so ride or die for Hook. It's ridiculous. He's like, dude, you want the ship back? We're so ready.
And then when like Killian immediately trades it away, Smee's like, what? That whole scene in the tavern was brilliant.
Ella's here.
I'm here. Thank Jesus. I almost tripped and fall on my butt. I'm cool.
I tried to wait for you as long as we could, but it was starting to get later. So, what were your thoughts about Knightfall, Daniela?
Dude, I love.
I'm sure you have lots of them.
I love the whole Nightbrook stuff, and I died when Hook in the flashbacks was dancing with young Alice and called her Starfish, and I laughed and I so got over the fact that Basilia and Regina, hooked up, and Regina was doing the walk of shame. The girl got the sex look on the hair, and she was flat out lying to her own son, who's cursed, that she spent the night with Facilier, who they know as Mr. Samdi. And I really like this guy who played Captain Ahab. And I was very scared when he did the duel stuff, so he can give him the Hook of Maui, like the Moana reference. And Gothel is a bitch. I hear her guts and can't believe that's how she got Hook's heart poison curse and separate him for Alice. And I'm starting to like the whole Wish Hook and Rumple team out clubs thing. You know, I really like Drusilla and Drusilla. I'm very excited that finally she's starting to like leave her pain and her anger, forgive and her malice apart to be a better person and go find and rescue Anastasia from the club and stuff. Like that's what I was waiting for because I like her when she was a villain. She was nice, even though she was like, but she was very good as a villain. I'm very excited to see now Drusilla redeem herself, be a good person to honor her mother's sacrifice and finding Anastasia. But I was a little bit. It irked me that she kissed Henry. But in the end, Henry didn't want nothing with her. She just wanted to be her friend. And I'm glad that things are cool between her and Jacinda. I mean, Ella. That's all I gotta say.
So we're assuming that Tilly has some sort of sight or something.
Yes.
Like
Seems like
magic,
it.
like magic's like clairvoyance thing.
She has the gift of foresight. She can see things that are gonna happen.
That took. She must have got it from her mother.
Well, that's obviously.
But she doesn't necessarily see it exactly as it's going to happen. Like
Oh.
in her vision, she saw Gothel choking her father and then throwing him out the tower window. But in actuality, that's not how it happened.
No.
I mean, she still lost him, but it wasn't exactly as she saw it.
And I think, and again, this goes back to my theory that she's the guardian, not Anastasia. I think that's part of it because who else has the ability to see the future and predict what will or won't happen?
Yeah.
Rumple.
Obviously.
Well, he got that ability from a seer.
I know that, but still, he has that power, and I think that's the sort of parallel they're doing here. And obviously, Rumple has some sort of he feels protective over Alice for whatever reason. We still don't know why.
So if Alice has known about this gift her whole life, then she might be kind of used to it. But since Tilly doesn't even know who she is, she might be struggling with it, or why she feels danger around Gothel.
Yeah. And on top of that, and I was talking about this on Tumblr last night, we know that she has the visions, and Killian was there to help calm her down and tell her, I believe you. I'm going to do something to help you. And then Gothel takes that away. While also putting a rift between, or some sort of, she puts doubt in Alice's mind about her own father, the one person that she had relied on all of her life up until that point. So now she can't touch her father. Her father can't help her anymore. So she's going to fall farther and farther into this madness because something obviously goes a little in Alice's head and makes her, mad. Even before she becomes Tilly in Hyperion Heights, we can see that there's something, her brain isn't wired the same way anymore. Because she was a perfectly fine little girl that we saw in that tower.
Yeah.
Now she's not. So
officially, Gothel is the worse mother than Cora.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a given. She's one of the worst characters on the show, meaning in terms of the things she does. She's not Emma Booth plays her brilliantly, so.
So if Alice is the guardian, wouldn't that mean that Gothel also has an interest in her?
She does, obviously.
Keeping her isolated?
Yes. Which is what she did, which is what she's doing now in Hyperion Heights.
Yeah.
She's cutting her off from everybody.
And it's not because she loves her, it's because she's using her.
She needs her for something. She needs her to be crazy for something. Same way she needs Hook to be awake for something. She has all these things that she's doing and we don't know what they are and they're driving me crazy.
Totes. I'm very interested. I'm like Gothel is like a wild card for me. Like, before her, Selena was the only wild card villain, and Rumple and Selena were the more wild card villains for me until Gothel came. She's totally the number one wild card villain I ever seen. Like she's like one step ahead of our heroes, and she knows how to play the game better than they do sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I also
She's a wild card.
Oh, keep going.
Exactly what her motivation is, because on the one hand, she's trying to resurrect this coven, but on the other, we don't know if she's the one killing witches or someone else is killing witches.
Oh, I'm like,
But at the same time, she's trying to resurrect this coven, but she doesn't care who she has to step on to get her way. I mean, she threw her own daughter to the wolves and let it and set her daughter up and set her own. She set her own child up to take a fall.
yeah, that sucks.
And didn't care.
And also, you know
it's
what?
hard to tell.
Sorry.
With Gothel is that this is what I was telling Pip before.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people they think too much when it comes to these bad guys. Like they want to overanalyze every single reason for why a villain does what they do. And for a lot of the villains on the show, you can do that because their characters have very like specific reasons and motivations for doing some of the things that they do.
Yeah.
But with Gothel, there's nothing to analyze with her. I mean, Adam and Eddie were pretty. Yeah, she just wants to take over the world, pretty much. Like, so she didn't give a fuck. No fucks given. She wants to take over the whole world. Pretty straightforward.
I want to sorry, Pep. I wanted to give a little situation that I'm suspecting on the witch, the mystery person who's killing the witches of the coven who are cursed. I'm suspecting is either the Madame Leota girl, she's
I
the
don't
one
know.
or is Facilier, because Facilier appeared just when the witches of the coven were getting killed.
That's where I was.
Suspicious.
That's where I was gonna go. I was gonna say we don't know what Facilier is doing in all this, and could it be possible that this is some like long-time feud between Gothel and Facilier, and the hero is a cart in the middle of it?
Yeah.
Because he suddenly shows up. He's not cursed, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
He suddenly shows up. He obviously has some sort of power connected to him because he made the lights flicker in the bar. So he's obviously still connected to the Shadow Realm somehow.
Yeah, that gave me a little Rumple vibe, because Rumple when they were in the first curse, he was cursed. He wasn't cursed in the other curses in the past seasons, and because he's the dark one and all that stuff. But with Facilier, it's different. It's a little similar, you know.
He gives off a very Rumple vibe. I said that last week when we did the podcast. He's very Rumple-esque in how he goes about things, and he makes deals and all that stuff. And I'm just kind of wondering if this is something between the two of them.
Exactly.
This is something between Gothel and Facilier because he's dealing with an other type of magic that's not hers.
His motivations are either.
So we've got these two power players here that are like kind of manipulating the whole situation now.
Yeah.
And everybody else is caught in the middle of it.
I don't feel like I can trust Facilier either, because Facilier likes Regina, but the Regina he knows was the evil queen.
Yeah.
Or in a way, when she was evil. So is he trying to seduce her to get her to be that evil person again, so that they can do evil things together, or what is he trying to do?
I think I'm like in between that what you were just saying, and maybe he does care for her, but he has a score with the person who's killing the witches of the coven, and when he tries to like go on his own and fix it, and he's using Naveen to help him get it by getting him close to Tiana or something, like what he did with the Gator stuff.
But why did he suddenly show up though? Like not even just in Hyperion Heights, he just suddenly showed up again in the Enchanted Forest.
I don't know. That's what we're gonna find out next episode, because next episode we're gonna find out how his story with Regina, besides the whole Alice and Robin stuff.
But
Well, I hope we see more of that than the Facilia stuff.
I think we're gonna. I think that was a red herring for next week's episode because it's called The Girl in the Tower.
I think it's both. I think it's Shadow Queen. I mean, aka Regina and Facile and Matt Archer, Alice and Robin. It's like both It's like both stories like into one. Like the movie Longest Ride, where there was two couples
You
and there were
also-
stories. Their stories were into one when they were being told. It's similar like that, I think.
I did notice the entire promo was all Hyperion Heights stuff. We didn't see any of the Enchanted Forest flashback stuff that they're going to be probably showing next episode. So I'm thinking we're going to get what we get in the present is Hyperion Heights, is the stuff with Regina and Lucy and Facilier, Samdi, and then in the flashbacks it's going to be more Alice focused.
Well,
Yeah.
there's also some Tilly and Rogers scenes in that episode, according to the spoilers.
Yep. So it's.
I'm very
Is
excited.
that
They
the
can't
episode?
they can't not have some Rogers and Tilly stuff in this episode because Tilly's on the run.
Yeah. Is that the episode where Henry goes with Rogers to talk to Tilly?
No, I think that's the other one.
Possibly.
No, because they filmed them really close together. Or then they filmed that was one of the first things they filmed when they came back from Christmas break.
Oh.
Was him interacting with him, Henry and Tilly. So it's just this is why I love this season, because it's really hard to figure out what's going to happen.
I know. I had the same feeling with Game of Thrones. It's the same thing with Game of Thrones. I have no idea what's gonna happen. And it's like that.
Doubtless, when this episode comes back, he's going to be trying.
Leaves.
The last we saw, she was tumbling.
Leaves, are you getting cut out?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Oh dear.
Out that in this next episode, episode 14, and Rogers is going to be looking for her.
Yeah.
To either bring her in or to figure out what the hell's happened.
Yeah.
You know.
I
So
just really,
there's that.
I'm so hooked on Regina and Facile because the guy who played it's because not because of Lana, because of the guy who pretends to plays Facile is hot, and his acting is so fucking awesome for me because I never heard of the guy till now, and that's why I'm kind of hooked on it. And I want to. I think I know that he's a villain, and I know that Facile is known for being a trickster, a liar, a fiend, and a psycho, but this is not the Facile. This is the Facile from this show. Once upon a time is different. It's gonna be kind of different because we don't know what he's like a mystery. We don't know what his motivation is. We don't know if he's changed or he's still evil or he's in cahoots with the witch killer who's killing the witches of the common. We don't know that, but I'm like am I cringing on that? I'm like intrigued.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see it lasting since Sean is coming back for the finale.
And you ruined my romantically.
That's a segue, actually.
Romantically, dude. You know how much
That is actually
Ooh.
That is actually a really good segue. Thank you, Ro. Now we're going to get into the spoiler section of things. You guys have already been talking about the promo, which was, I think, intentionally vague. We don't know exactly what's happening in episode 14. The girl in the be a mishmash of Regina working with Lucy to try and figure out how to save Henry, and Facilier's machinations and what exactly he's doing, and I'm assuming Roger's tracking Tilly, between Tilly and spoilers that we got. And if you don't want to listen to spoilers, turn off podcast now.
Yeah.
Bigger spoilers that we got. We have a growing list of special guest stars and old
Sean is
Now,
back.
please,
Sean is back.
before you guys say anything, I don't know if that means that they're leaving to go to Hyperion Heights. If I don't know if that means they're leaving Storybrooke to go back to the Enchanted Forest. I have no fucking idea what that means.
My personal opinion on that title is that it's
All I can say right now is we have a
figurative.
growing list
not
of guest stars.
And
You
now
guys have any thoughts about what leaving Storybrooke means?
like I said, I think it's figurative. I don't think it's literal, kind of the same way Stargate's final episode was called Unending. Farscape's final episode was called Bad Timing because they got canceled before they were planning to end the show. So they kind of got cheeky with the titles and they were like, well, we're going to call it Bad Timing. So I think that's kind of what leaving Storybrooke means is they're not physically leaving Storybrooke, but we as an audience are leaving Storybrooke. That is my personal opinion on it.
Mine too, because
that to me makes the most sense because they've been in Storybrooke for so long now that I think it'd be very hard for them to just pick up and go back to the Enchanted Forest. Their life is in Storybrooke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very. You know what? Excuse me. I freaked out. And I cried, and I was very happy when I heard the
I definitely have the feeling that the Hyperion Heights people are Storybrooke.
Yeah, the set spoilers kind of made that obvious that they're going to be going to Storybrooke.
And I'm thanking God right now because I could not imagine this show ending without Emma and Killian being able to see Henry and their grandchild, whom I don't think they've ever even met.
I don't think that's true.
That was all that I really wanted. Now, true. Do we know?
I don't think they've never seen their granddaughter.
Ever.
I don't believe that.
But I'm very excited to see Sean because I'm being optimistic. I'm holding on my low expectations, low hopes for luck that he comes back as in the memory lane montage if they do a memory lane montage. And stuff, and he'll come back as resurrected Robin, and resurrected Robin Hood, and as Wish Robin Hood, who's with the evil Queen number 2, something like that. Because I just think that they brought him not only to be in flashbacks in the memory lane, they brought him not to be or not to be Wish Robin Hood, but to be the Robin Hood we know, but who's come back to life for some way. Because though it could happen, but it's just like that. It could be like that.
I personally don't think so, especially with the spoiler that literally just came out today.
What spoiler?
They have the Snow and Charming statue set up in the park for filming. The Snow and Charming statue that's from the Wish Realm.
Maybe. Oh yeah, I saw that picture. Yeah. I saw that.
So they're clearly going back to the Wish Realm in some capacity. And I also mentioned, I was saying this before we started recording, and I mentioned this on Twitter way back in October when we found out that the Killian that we're watching this season is from the Wish Realm. I was like, if their paths diverged when he says they did, which now we know that they did, that means that Pan was never killed. That means Cruella was never killed. So, and we now have confirmation that Pan and Cruella are coming back. We definitely know that they're coming back as their characters and not necessarily as just like a special whatever, because we saw makeup of Victoria dressed as Cruella de Vil last night. So
I know. I would definitely, I like Cruella, but I'm not a very fan of Peter Pan since they saw some. But I was a fan of him when I was a kid. But when I figured out his origins, that he was technically a hero, but he became a bad guy of some sort. And then with Once Upon a Time, I learned he's bad and he's a jerk. So I'm a fan of Robbie K, but I'm not a fan of Peter Pan. So I'm like the only characters I'm glad are coming back besides Granny and Leroy and hopefully Gosh and hopefully Jen is Snow and Emma and David. But I'm glad that Cruella and Robin Hood, original Robin Hood and Wish Robin Hood, hope I don't know, and my favorite darling who I really love is coming back. I love Victoria Smurfit very much, and I'm glad that she's coming back as Cruella. And I want Rose to come back as Tink. I miss her as Tink. And I know she's busy doing iZombie with the dude who plays Blaine and who played Dr. Whale. But I'm very excited to see it. Like I really want Wish Robin and Original Robin to be there, because he could do both. If Colin can play Rogers and our Hook at the same time in this season, I think Sean can play Wish Robin and the original Robin come back to life at the same time.
I don't think Robin can come back to life, though. That's the thing. They kind of really emphasize that the original Robin is gone. He's just gone. Same way that the original Peter Pan can't come back because Rumpel destroyed him. He sent him into the River of Lost Souls. He's gone. So that's why I'm saying that the Wish characters are the versions that are still alive that they can bring back into this story.
Well, the episode is called Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
And it really all depends on people's definition of home. Like, if that's the Enchanted Forest or Storybrooke or somewhere else. I mean...
Or the persons you love.
Well, the list we have so far of guest stars, we have Robin, whether that's Dark Robin or
Robin.
Our is unknown at this point.
Ariel, Joanna. Lee as Grumpy, Bev as Granny,
Granny,
Giles as he's gonna appear in Rumpel's Swan Song episode with Emily as Belle, something like that. He's not Giles is not coming back for the season finale. For the last episode, he's only coming back for the central one, Rumpel. Yeah.
Giles has said that he's.
You keep cutting out.
Giles has said that he's not been asked if he was. Emily, I haven't heard anything about. Although I have to imagine that.
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
Are the three that we don't know anything about yet, but I'm fairly 99% that.
Lisa, you keep cutting out. This is the first time you have been cutting out in the podcast.
I could not imagine them. What I think they're doing is they're keeping those three. I don't think they want anybody to know.
Oh, you're talking about Josh and Ginny and Jen.
If I know Adam and Eddie like I do, it's more than probable that Gosh and Jen are already coming back.
Yeah.
But it.
At the same time.
But I hush hush because they don't want anybody to know. They're trying to keep it secret.
At the same time.
So it'll be a big surprise at the very end.
Because at the same time, I said this on Twitter, the instant any of the three of them step foot in Vancouver, we're going to know about it.
Yeah. It's like when the guy who played Gendry in Game of Thrones, I thought that he was not going to come back, but we saw a picture of him coming to Northern Ireland, to Belfast, in the airport. They spot him, and that's like a similar. We don't know if Jen and Gosh are coming until we see a picture of them confirmed on Twitter or whatever that they're there in Vancouver. And the only ones I'm glad they're coming back is besides Leroy and Granny is Jen as Emma, Ginny as Snow, Josh as David, and Sean as Robert, and Victoria as Cruella. And
right now, I know Josh is starting to work on the new series that he's in.
Yeah.
I know Ginny's been cast in something new.
Yep.
So if they're going to do it, they got to do it. If they're going to, I know they're going to do this. There is literally 2 weeks left to film forever. So if they're going to do it, they got to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll have to do it quickly.
I don't want to assume anything because if I build my expectations up for this finale, I'll just be disappointed. So I'm keeping things realistic. We have the cast that we do, and right now that's all we can really expect.
Mm-hmm. Same here. I'm glad that Adam and Eddie are being hush hush and not like letting more spoilers out this season because they haven't done it a lot the other season. They're doing it with this one, and I'm very glad they're doing this because they're keeping me more intrigued and wanting to watch more, and that was interesting.
Okay, well, I still firmly believe that the three of them probably will be there, but
Mhm.
we're not about Adam and Ed are really not keep secrets. At least they have been for this past year. We've had to put together all these plot points on our own because we haven't been able to really figure out what they're planning. I think this year they're keeping it as close to the vest as possible. So if those three do show up, huge surprise for everybody.
And I'm gonna cry, and I'm gonna
Which
smile.
I would not mind. I would not mind seeing it as a surprise.
I don't see it happening. It being covered up. One, I was saying this before too. They'll want people to tune in for the last episode, so they'll announce that they're gonna be there. Maybe right before they air the episode, but I think we're gonna find out in a couple of weeks if they're gonna be there. Or they could film stuff at a different location.
Yeah.
That's possible.
What now?
They could film stuff at a different location.
Yeah. Mhm.
To keep
You
it
mean
covered
like
up.
how they filmed Michael Raymond James actually
What
in
did
New
you say?
York for season 2?
Yeah, they could film stuff in a separate location.
Pip?
Why
I
can't
couldn't
you
hear you.
they're gonna film stuff in a separate location if Jen and Josh and Ginny are coming back. I don't think because literally earlier this week, one of the people that knows about all the filming in Vancouver tweeted that Victoria Smurfit was in town before the announcement came out that Cruella was coming back. I think it was like Monday or Tuesday. They said Victoria Smurfit is in town. That makes me wonder why.
Yeah.
So even people like Cruella, even characters like Cruella can't slip under the radar at this point. Everybody knows that they're filming the finale now. And they've just put out this huge announcement that all these characters are coming back and people are going to be on the watch for Jen and Josh and Ginny at this point.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to hide it unless they film it somewhere else.
Mhm. I'm very intrigued.
That's just my thoughts on it.
It's very intriguing. Like, it could be that one. Pip could be right. It could be that. And I'm still on the watch for that. And I'm still expect with low expectations and low hopes because I'm not gonna be miss high hopes and get disappointed because we didn't get what we wanted. Like I'm still like the things that I'm still not over that we didn't get in season 6 finale because you and Lisa know that role. So you know. I'm Can I ask you guys a question? How many points would you give this episode of the Knightfall? If you guys were the ones putting the ratings.
How many points?
Yep.
Well, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 5.
I'd give it a 20 and 9.
As far as moving the story along, which is, I think, the main arc is always connected to the villain, whatever they're up to, and this was obviously a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I should think that this is one of the important episodes but we still don't have all their motivations yet, like why she needs this coven.
Yeah.
What she plans to do with it.
Mm-hmm. And what Vasily's motivation is, if he's the one who's killing those witches, or Is it
Hello?
Gothel or is hi Erismath or is in this
Yep.
Mam Leota? It's like
So,
this puzzles of the pieces have to be connected. No
We
loose
can hear you,
ends.
Lisa.
We can hear you, Lisa. Lisa, hello. I can hear you. Your voice is bubbly and loud and adorable when you come in this podcast, so we can hear you.
Pip,
I can hear you.
Yep, yep, yep.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you